Sorry, I didn't unmute. Let's do that again. Okay. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu. Sahanao Bhunaktu. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamai. Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Pujanmane. Savila Samaha Moha Graha Grasaika Karmani. Okay. We'll just read now verses 91 to 93. We'll just read these because it's been the same thought flow, and then we'll review and move forward. Sato vivechite vahnoho mithyatve sati vasite apo dashamshato nyunaha kalpita iti chintayet. Santyapo mushunyatvaha sashabdasparsha samyutaha rupavatyonya karmanuvritya sviyo raso gunaha sato vivechita swapsu tanmithyatve cha vasite bhuvir dashamshato nyuna Kalpitapsviti chintaye. Okay, so where are we now? Oh, we have completed the analysis of space, air, fire, and water, right? What's the thought process here? The process is extracting existence, right? So why is Swami Vidyaranyaji going through all of these elements? Because he's trying to tell us that these elements don't exist independently. So what is the reality, the tattva, the reality of the world? The reality of the world, if we look deep into it, is existence. It cannot be space-time. If it was space-time, then space-time would always be there, right? But the fact is it's not always there. So the reality of anything is something that's always there throughout. And in fact, it's beyond even space and time. And that reality is called Sat, or existence, or Brahman. Now, what he's trying to show is that on Sat, Maya is superimposed. And we saw that. And on Maya, Akash, or space, is superimposed. And on space, air, and on air, fire, on fire, water, and finally on water, earth. So each of the elements are 1/10 of their previous. So let us say air is 1/10 of space. Then we have fire is 1/10 of air. Then we have water, which is 1/10 of fire. So in this way, all the elements are superimposed. And they're all superimposed in Sat, or existence. Why do we say that? We say that they are superimposed on Sat for the given reasons. One is, when we have a statement, such a statement as space exists, what exists in what? Right? What exists in what? So the less pervasive has to exist in the more pervasive. That's always the case. If we have a table and we want to put something on the table has to be bigger than what we put on it. If we have a glass and we want to put liquid in it, the glass has to be bigger than the liquid. We want to cook food. We have a pot or a pan, it has to be bigger than the food, right? It's never the other way around. So what is in what? So it's very obvious if we just even do a logical analysis, the least pervasive entity will be on the most pervasive entity. That's a logical analysis. That is what we understand from the word. So space is less pervasive than existence. Existence is most pervasive, all pervasive, right? Now, what is the relationship between space and existence? The relationship is existence is the substratum. It's the substratum and it's existence. Now, obviously, the substratum is different from what it holds, right? It's different from what it holds. The book is different from the table. The water is different from the glass. The food is different from the pot. So if the substratum is different from what it holds, what is it that it holds? If the substratum is existence or sat, then something other than sat would be asat, non-existence. So whatever it's holding is non-existence. But it appears, so we say it's mithya, it's illusory. So that's how we say that space is in existence. Space is, air is in existence. Fire is in existence. Water is in existence. And we saw the example last week that if you see a movie theater, and you're watching it, the screen is there, and then the projection is Maya. On that projection, there's space, and there's air, there's fire, there's water, there's earth. On that whole screen, you can see all of these different elements, right? In any scene. So, okay, that's fine. What happens if we extract the screen? There's no movie. The movie cannot work, right? So in the same way, when we extract existence out of anything, it cannot be. It ceases to be. And this is the point that Swami Vidyaranyaji is trying to make, that when we extract existence from anything, it ceases to be. And therefore, it is existence alone that is. Sat eva, right? Sadeva somya idam agra asid. Existence alone is. And why is he taking us through all this trouble, taking us one element to the next element to the next element? Because he brings up this important point of vasite. He says, this has to be very firm in a seeker's mind. Until and unless this is firm, realization doesn't happen. So actually, by his repetitive analysis from each element, he's making it stronger and stronger in our minds. So in this way, we have seen space, we have seen air, we have seen fire, water. Now we will go to earth. Then the thought process will be from earth to this whole cosmos. And then he will ask us to really think now deeply about reality. Okay, so let us go to verse number 94. Asti bhustatva shunyasyam. Asti bhustatva shunyasyam. Shabdasparshau sarupakau. Shabdasparshau sarupakau. Rasascha parato gandaha. Rasascha parato gandaha. Naijas-satta vivicyatam. Naijas-satta vivicyatam. Asti bhustatva shunyasyam. Shabdasparshau sarupakau. Rasascha parato gandaha. Naijas-satta vivicyatam. So now he's saying, look at the last element. And when we say elements, what we mean is tanmatras. So this is not the earth yet that we see here. These are the subtle forms of the element. It's not the air that we're feeling or the water that we're drinking. These are the subtle forms, because then he's going to go into the cosmos. And that's the gross forms of the element. That's where we see all of these manifest. Asti bhuhu means we say that the earth element is. So that part is existence. And that is not a property. That's the substance. Tattva shunya. Tattva shunya means that it doesn't have its own reality. It doesn't exist on its own. And that comes from Maya. So this earth element in its subtle form rests in existence. Then it doesn't have its independent existence. That illusoriness comes from Maya. And then Shabda Sparsho. Shabda means sound and touch. Sound property comes from space. Then touch, sparsha, comes from air. Sarupako, present with form. Form comes with fire. And rasa, taste, comes from water. So as we've seen last time, each element is 1/10 of the preceding one, and it takes properties all along. So this earth element is taking the property of Maya, of space, of air, of fire, of water. And parataha means all of those were coming from other things. And now with the earth element, what happens is we have gandhaha. Gandhaha means smell. So we have this property also, naijaha. This is Prithvi, or the earth element's own property. Now what Swami Vidyaranyaji is saying, again, he said, Sata Vivichyata. Again, take this entire earth element. Entire earth element. What is the earth element? Its substratum is existence. It has a sense of illusoriness from Maya. It has sound from space, right? It has touch from air, and then it has form and color from fire. It has taste from water. It has smell of its own property. Take the whole earth element, and what do? Take out existence. What happens? The whole thing breaks down. The whole thing breaks down. So he says, keep on doing this, right? So now let us see the next verse. Pritak kritayam sattayam. Pritak kritayam sattayam. Bhumir mityavashishyate. Bhumir mityavashishyate. Bhumir dashamshato nyunam. Bhumir dashamshato nyunam. Brahmandam bhumi madhyagam. Brahmandam bhumi madhyagam. Pritak kritayam sattayam. Bhumir mityavashishyate. Bhumir dashamshato nyunam. Brahmandam bhumi madhyagam. So he said exactly what I've explained. He said, Pritak kritaya. So he says, Pritak, you separate. Separate from what? Sattaya. So Pritak kritayam sattayam. When we separate out existence from all of these properties, bhumir mitya vashishyate. Bhumi, that earth element, it remains on its own as illusory. It cannot stand. And he says, Bhumir dashamshataha nyunam. 1/10 of now, this earth element is Brahmanda. Brahmanda bhumi madhyagam. Brahmanda is literally means the womb of Brahma. And this is bhumi madhyagam. This is in that earth element. Okay. So now before I explain Brahmanda, just get a sense of this, right? Get a sense of this. Existence, Maya. Existence, then we go to Maya. Go to Maya, space. Space, air. Air, fire, water, earth. In the earth element, 1/10 of the earth element is what we call Brahmanda, the cosmic womb or the cosmos. That Brahmanda, it will say, is 14 worlds. 14 worlds, 14 lower worlds and 14 higher worlds. And in these 14 worlds, we will see in the next thing what this is. In the 14 worlds, there is Bhuloka. Bhuloka is this earth, right? In this earth, which is Bhuloka, there are so many continents, 7 continents, right? And then there are so many countries. And then within one country, there are so many states. And within the states, there are so many little towns. Within the towns, there are so many little houses. Within the houses, there's you and me. There's your body and my body, my mind, your mind. Just think of this infinite cosmos and how tiny we are. I mean, when I say we, here I'm referring to body and mind, how tiny we are in comparison to that. We are the littlest things and we think we have the biggest problems. So all of that coming to us is this entire manifestation. It's not just earth, we think that it's just earth. Or sometimes we even think that maybe it's just earth and these planets that are revolving around the sun. That's still Bhuloka. That's still one loka. We haven't even exceeded to the other lokas. So the existence of so many beings is far and wide beyond our comprehension. So this is also another beautiful insight in Panchadashi, how vast, wide, and far-fetching this manifestation actually is. Okay, now what are these 14 worlds? What contains them? What's in there? Let us see this verse. Brahmanda madhye tishtanti, Brahmanda madhye tishtanti, Vanani chaturdasha, Vanani chaturdasha, Vaneshu vasantyeshu, Vaneshu vasantyeshu, Pranideha yathayatham, Pranideha yathayatham, Brahmanda madhye tishtanti, Vanani chaturdasha, Vaneshu vasantyeshu, Pranideha yathayatham. So Brahmanda, Brahmanda means this cosmos. This cosmos, right, contains, in the midst of this cosmos is Tishtanti, or are Bhuvanani Chaturdasha, 14 worlds. 14 worlds, 14 different realms of existence. And also there are sub-realms also in here. So this is 14 realms of existence. In the book, if you want to see, it says Brahmanda, the egg of Brahma, literally means the womb of Brahma, is the cosmos consisting of 14 worlds. So these are the higher worlds first. Bhuhu, Bhuva, Swaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satya. Satya is also known as Brahmaloka. Then the lower worlds are Attala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala, going down. So now in these realms of existence, just see the variety of it, right? He's saying all Bhuvaneshu, Eshu Bhuvaneshu, in this 14 worlds, in these 14 worlds, Vasanti, what lives? Prani Deha, different kinds of beings. So many different kinds of beings. And how? Yatha yatham, according to their karma and vasana. So let's just get a glimpse of all of the different types of beings. So first, there's different. Now we are only going to talk about Bhuloka. Bhuloka means the whole, all of the galaxies that we can conceive of right now, right? Because that is Bhuloka. There are 4 wombs known to us, 4 different wombs. And we saw this in Bhagavad Gita also, right? So some are Andaja, they're born from eggs. Some are Jarayuja, they're born from wombs like mammals, humans. Some are Shwedaja, they're born from sweat, dirt, like lice or mosquitoes. And some are Udbija, plants, they're born from breaking the ground. Then if you look at the variety of beings, some of them live in water. Some of them live in water. Some of them are able to live in land and water. Some of them fly in air. Some of them, how they travel, they swim. Some hop, some jump, some fly, some can walk, some can crawl. So just think of all the varieties. Some have 4 legs that they use. Some have 2, right? Some can see in the dark. Some can see in the daytime. The variety of food that there is. Some are able to eat algae or amoeba or fish. Some eat reptiles. Some hunt for food. Some eat plants. So there's so much variety in the wombs of creatures, where how they are brought up, where they live, the different environments they can stay, how they travel, what they eat, what they drink. And all of it is just very puzzling, but it's one beautiful harmony. Everyone protects the other. Everyone protects the other. And how is it going on? How is this vast cosmos going on? Why is it going on the way it's going on? Yatha yatham. Yatha yatham here refers to a Shruti, a statement in Kathopanishad. Yatha karma yatha shrutam means there's 2 things that determine how all beings are. One is their karma, their past karma. So the results of their past actions determine what kind of joy or sorrow they will experience in this life. What kind of family, what kind of environment, what kind of lifestyle. The outer circumstances are they are determined by karma. Not to say that we can't change it, but there's a reason why we are where we are. There's a reason why we are where we are. And in some way, we asked for this. You and I wouldn't be here if we didn't ask for it. So don't think that, oh my gosh, why am I here? Why did God put me here? We asked for it. And yatha shrutam means, shrutam literally means what is heard, but here it means what our vasanas are, our deep impressions. What does that determine? That determines our interest, our likes, our dislikes. That determines our tendencies. So we will find that when some beings are born, they have a tendency towards music. They can just sit there and sing. Even babies, they can sit there and sing, or they can just really feel music. There are some that have a tendency to just be curious, very inquisitive. That's their vasana. Some are born very, very spiritual, that already when they're born, that can be seen. So these 2 things determine why we are where we are. And it is also said that there's various bodies there's various bodies. There's what you call Uttama Deha, means a higher body. Madhyama Deha means a medium body, mediocre. And Adhama Deha means a lower body. What do these bodies mean? Basically, the highest body means that body that is capable of realization of truth. That body which is capable of knowledge. That birth which is capable of knowledge. And that is the human birth. So in this vast cosmos, this is what happens. This is the variety. This is one thing that Swami Chinmayananda Ji Gurudev used to say is, this is a cosmos and not a chaos. It's a very, very beautiful cosmos. It is in such precise order that everything happens exactly the way it needs to happen. If we let it be, if we interfere too much, then we create havoc, of course. Now, what is Swami Vidyaranyji trying to say here? Is he wanting us to know the whole Brahmanda? Now, the next step, remember, first he tells us everything about the element or about the thing. He describes the whole thing in its entirety. And then what's he going to say? Now extract existence from it. So now let's see that verse. Brahmandalokadeheshu sadvastuni prithakkrite asantondadayo bhantu tadbhane piha kakshatihi brahmandalokadeheshu sadvastuni prithakkrite asantondadayo bhantu tadbhane piha kakshatihi. So now this is where he wanted to get to. This, we did all of the verses, all of the elements, all of everything, because he wanted us to come to this realization. What is the realization? Brahmanda loka deheshu. In all the bodies, in all the worlds of this cosmos that I just described to you, all the different bodies, all the different foods, the drinks, the way they travel, the way they live, the way they are, all of it, in where all of the worlds, what worlds? All the 14 worlds, in that Brahmanda, that womb, the cosmic womb, what do we do with that? Sadvastuni pritakrite. This is Sati Saptami. So when we separate it, pritakrite, when we separate it from existence, what happens? The whole thing collapses. Now imagine 14 worlds. If we even just take this entire world, this galaxy, this planet Earth, all these countries, all of these beings, the people, the atmosphere, the sun, sky, stars, the whole system. We take that whole thing and we extract existence from it. What happens? Gone. That is called mithya. Mithya. Mithya means when it cannot exist on its own right. We extract existence, which is also consciousness, by the way. Sometimes people can't grasp this existence concept. So awareness. Extract isness from it. Extract being from it. Extract awareness from it. And it all collapses. It all collapses. That's what he wants us to get. He's saying that let it go. Let it go. Now we've done so much of this, so much of this. Understand the reality in everything. If you take existence away, it doesn't exist. Pritak krite. And after one does this, what happens? Asantaha andadayaha bhantu means asantaha, means this whole brahmanda, this whole cosmos, it's asantaha, it's asat, it's illusory, right? What is illusory? Andadayaha, the whole brahmanda is illusory. Bhantu, let it be. Let it appear. Let it appear. Bhantu means let it appear. Because we have this notion that if we extract existence from it, it should disappear. But yet it's appearing. We extracted existence, it's still appearing. So he says, Bhantu, let it appear. Why? Tad bhane api iha kakshatihi. What does it matter if it appears? What is the loss? Kshatihi literally means loss. Kakshatihi. What is the loss if it appears? Let it appear, let it disappear. What is there? Right? Once we know that it's illusory, let it appear. Some people have this crazy, crazy thing, thought process, that when a person realizes, then what happens? The world will disappear. Or that is that not that the jnani will be blind, right? There's also another notion that if somebody becomes enlightened, they will die right away. Then who will teach who? We will all remain ignorant. No enlightened being will teach us. So we will all remain ignorant. So it's not that that enlightened being will die right away, and it's not that the world will disappear. The world will continue to appear, and let it continue to appear. Why not? Why not? There is no loss whether it appears or disappears. Disappears in samadhi, appears when the person gets up of samadhi. Doesn't matter. It's like the screen. Or let the movie go on, let the movie not go on. Let the movie change scene. Let the movie be a tragedy. Let the movie be a comedy. What does it matter? Kakshatihi. What is the loss? Or what is the gain for the screen if the movie continues to appear? Right? So here, this is what he's trying to tell us. Now, one good thing that I think we need to just recall here is in the preliminary stages, and I'm saying preliminary because later it's a little bit different. In Advaita Vedanta, there's 3 degrees of reality. 3 degrees of reality. So what we're saying here is the first one is called Paramarthika Satta. Satta means reality. Paramarthika means first one is absolute reality. Absolute reality. And absolute reality is only Brahman. That which cannot be negated, that is only Brahman. The second reality is called Vyavaharika Satta, or transactional reality. Right? Why is it called transactional reality? Because literally it is something we can transact with. It's something we can transact with. So in Sanskrit, it's called Pramana Prameya Vyavahara, meaning using a means of knowledge, I can transact or experience an object. So for example, Pratyaksha Pramana means using my senses, I am able to grasp, let's say, a computer. So using my senses, I grasp the computer, and that's a transaction. Using my ears, I grasp sound. That is a transaction, right? Anumana Pramana. Anumana means inference. So using, when there's smoke, I infer there's a fire. So through the medium of inference, I'm grasping that there's a fire. So using the means of knowledge, the pramana, I am grasping the prameya. Prameya means object of knowledge. So this thing where I'm using a means of knowledge to grasp an object, that's called a transaction. This is a very, very cool definition in Sanskrit, because it makes it so clear that this is what a transaction is. When I use any means of knowledge to gain or cognize an object, that is a transaction. So right now, this is transactional reality, right? So then the third level is called pratibhasika satta. Pratibhasika means it's apparent reality, apparent. Why is it apparent? Because we cannot transact with it. We cannot transact with it. So like the snake on the rope, you can't transact with the snake on the rope, right? You can't transact the snake in the rope because you cannot, the snake in the rope can't even give us poison. We can't tie anything with the snake in the rope. So it's an illusion is something that we cannot transact with. So therefore we say it's apparent reality. Now, here's where the confusion comes, right? Often the confusion is because we can transact with something, then it must be real. That is what we feel. Because we can transact with each other, we can transact with the computer, we can transact with the screen, with the water, etc. It must be real. But Vedanta says, no, it's not absolutely real because it doesn't have its own existence. So we will take the rope and snake example here. First level, the snake appearing on the rope, that is apparent reality. Yes, everybody agrees it's apparent, right? We can't transact with that snake, can't do anything. It's apparent reality. The rope there is transactional reality. We can tie the rope, we can do all kinds of things with the rope. It's transactional. But now where does all this exist? In Sat, right? In Brahman, in existence. And without existence, there's no rope, there's no snake. So even this rope, which we feel we can transact with, it still exists in existence. And if we take existence away from it, it also doesn't exist. So this is what we can keep in mind, that whenever we're talking about Brahman, it is absolute reality, that which can never be negated, or falsified or sublated. And that is what he wants us to come to. So anytime, now some people might say, oh, this Swami Vidyaranyji is very, very technical. What can, how can I apply this in my life? I'll tell you a very beautiful application. Whenever something's bothering you, something's disturbing you, take existence away from it and let it just collapse. Let it just collapse. And then what will happen is you will feel so much lighter about it, because you and I will realize that it's just appearing. It's just an appearance. Why are we so bothered about it? Why are you so bummed out about it, right? Anytime we feel bummed out or even overexcited, don't get caught up in it. Extract existence from it. Extract awareness, and just let yourself go. Let that whole thing go, and let yourself lighten up a little bit. Extract existence. Extract and lighten up. Now, what should we do with this knowledge? Okay, let us see verse 98. Bhuta bhautika mayana bhuta bhautika mayanam asatvetyantavasite asatvetyantavasite sadvastvadvaitamityesha sadvastvadvaitamityesha dhir viparyeti na kvachit viparyeti na kvachit bhuta bhautika mayanam satvetyantavasite sadvastvadvaitamityesha dhir viparyeti na kvachit. So he says, now take all of what I've given you. What has Swami Vidyaranyaji given us? He's given us a lot in this Panchadashi chapter. So first he says bhuta. Bhuta means the 5 elements, Pancha Mahabhutas, in their subtle essence, tanmatras. So in their subtle essence, space, air, fire, water, earth. Take all of these elements. Bhautika. Bhautika means what's produced from these elements, which is none other than the whole Brahmanda, or the whole cosmos, with the 14 worlds, with all the galaxies, planets, solar systems, all of that. And Maya. And take Maya. He also, if you remember, we also had a long discussion on what Maya is. So he says, take all of this and asatve atyanta vasite. And so he says, when atyanta means a deep vasite, a deep impression is made of what? Of their asatve, of their unreality. When a deep impression has been made in the mind about the elements, their derivatives, and Maya, of being the same category, means of being illusion. When that happens, what remains? Sadvastu Advaita. Sat, that existence, that non-dual existence, alone remains. Iti esha dhihi, this kind of understanding, esha dhihi, viparyeti na kvachit. It will never ever again be subverted. It will never again get confused. It will never think the opposite. Viparya means opposite. We'll never think the opposite again. So what's the trick here is, he says, make this impression so deep. Don't let it just sit very lightly in the intellect. Oh, don't just let it sit here. Bring it to the heart. Whenever he says vasite, so many times he says vasayatva, vasite, he means bring it to the core of our entire being. Bring it to that core, that all of these are illusory. The whole thing is illusory. And how, and when it's in the core, then what happens? That non-dual reality alone remains. Alone remains. Nothing else is there. And this kind of understanding will never go. If it's deep enough, it will never go. And we spoke about this vasite in the last class, right? Different ways on how it can really be deep, that even if we're seeing this world of plurality, we know the underlying substratum of it. And that is our own self. So he says, keep on making it deep. Now, what happens, right? The question comes is, what happens to this enlightened being, right? How will they interact in the world? How will they interact in the world? How will they do things in the world? Will they, what will their attitude be? Now that they know that this whole thing is really an illusion, how will they live? How will they be in the world? So let us see this first. Sadadvaitat prithak bhute Sadadvaitat prithak bhute dvaite bhumyadi rupini dvaite bhumyadi rupini tattadartha kriya loke tattadartha kriya loke yatha drishta tathaiva sa yatha drishta tathaiva sa sadadvaitat prithak bhute dvaite bhumyadi rupini tattat tad arthakriya loke yatha drishta tathaiva sa. So sad advaitat prithak bhute dvaite. When this duality is prithak bhute, is separated, again separated from sat, existence, again when existence is extracted from this whole duality, bhumyadi rupini, right? What happens is all of these forms, all of this entire world of duality, tat artha kriya loke, and all of its artha means object and functionality in the world, yatha drishta, as it is seen, tathaiva sa, that's the way it will be, right? What will be sa? Sa means the artha kriya. The artha kriya will be as before. So when reality has been comprehended as non-dual, right, and the world of duality is differentiated, what happens is the pragmatic action will continue as before. So here I'll just explain this term artha kriya. Artha means object, kriya functionality. So we will see this artha kriya karitvam often in the Sanskrit commentaries, right? So object, let's say the book, its functionality is to be read. The functionality of the object water, its functionality, it's you use it to drink. Food is an object, you eat food. Bed is something you sleep in. So every object, artha, has a functionality. Bed, you sleep in. Food, you eat. Water, you drink. Road, on the sidewalk, you walk, right? So this artha kriya loke, in the world, yatha drishta, as it has been going on, the same way it will go on. That's not going to change. So some people feel like, oh, when a being is enlightened, what are they going to eat? Well, they're going to eat whatever they were eating before. You know, what are they going to wear? They're going to wear whatever they were wearing before. How are they going to act? They're going to act like how they were acting before. Because in the realm of transactional reality, we follow the rules of transaction, right? The enlightened being, knowing that they are above and beyond any transaction, they are also intelligent that in the realm of transactional reality, they follow whatever the rules of transaction are. Huh? So there is a famous story of Vasishta Rishi, you know, and we leave with this thought. There's a famous story of Vasishta Rishi, and he was having a class. And all of a sudden, you know, their classes used to be outdoors and everything. There was a big elephant coming. And this big elephant was, you know, mad. The Mahout was trying to control the elephant, but couldn't control the elephant. And Vasishta Maharishi was having a class about, you know, the unreality of the world, which is seen in Yoga Vasishta. And what happens is he gets up and he runs. And so the other students run, but one doesn't. And one gets crushed by the elephant. And when he was later asked, why did you do that? He said, well, because the world is unreal. He said that you understand that the world is unreal, but when you're sitting in the world, in the transactional reality, you transact like in the world also, you know? So you have to, whatever the rules of in the world are, we have to follow. We can't just say, oh, it's unreal and let it go. No, that doesn't work. When we're in the realm of transactional reality, follow it, but know the underlying absolute reality. Another version of the story, something else, is that the elephant was coming, and the student stood there, and the mahout was warning him, move, 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 and then he didn't move. And so later when they asked, he said, well, I thought the elephant was illusory. He said, well, the one warning you, he was also illusory, but you need to follow him, you know? So in this realm, the enlightened being will do what they need to do. They're not gonna cross dharma. They are beyond dharma and adharma, that they know, but they won't cross that dharma. And this can be also beautifully seen in Ramayana. You know, when Sri Rama, he comes back from Ayodhya. When he comes back to Ayodhya after being in Lanka for so long, he greets everyone the way they need to be greeted. So his guru, who does he see first? He goes to see his gurus first. First, he goes to see his gurus, and to them, he does namaskar. Then he goes to his brothers, and to them, obviously, he gives a hug because he's older brother. He goes to see his mothers, and of course, then he does namaskar. So he goes to everybody and he greets everybody the way they need to be greeted, the way they need to be taken care of. He has that vision, even though he knows who he is, but he transacts in the way he needs to transact. So the enlightened being is the same. So now, what else does Swami Vidyaranyaji has to say? A very, very beautiful closing message will come. And then he will pose this question, which we might come through next week. What if someone gains knowledge, but they become brain dead? Or they have some kind of disease? What happens? So even these kinds of questions he addresses. So we will go through that. It might come, I think, next week. Yeah. So we'll say the closing prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Pauses for a sec.